This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the foster.
We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter.
Yeah, I want.
Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on.
He likes it.
It's showtime.
Peter G Show, divorce dad, single dad, divorce dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
That's right, it's showtime. Welcome Wednesday. And a beautiful Wednesday it is, kinda. A little bit rainy here in Southern California. Gloomy. We could use the rain, though. I remember it was only a few short Novembers ago, 2019, when we had horrific fires. Wasn't fun. Everything was dry, like usual here in California, except my humor. But California, a few Novembers ago, last 2019, we had horrific fires. So it's a little gloomy, some rainy spots in California, but that's okay. We could use water because they're crying that we don't have water there. So again, I'm sure it could be a lot worse, but very thankful to be here and anywhere at this point in time. Hope you're all doing well. Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, right here every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Right here, God willing, every Wednesday. Hope you join us. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be a fun night tonight. We have an excellent show tonight. As I'm getting into the holidays, you're going to see me start doing a lot more humanly oriented things. It's the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. They're very family oriented holidays, and they hit a lot of people. It's supposed to be a joyous part of the year, more so. I mean, to me, every day should be a great day. I mean, but it's easier said than done, right? But as we get into the holidays, there's a lot of people that are affected by this. Because life isn't so easy, and it's not easy for most of us, but it's how you handle the situations and get through it that counts. But in the moment when your head is twirling, sometimes things just are very, very cloudy. So I'm going to be featuring a lot more shows as we get into Christmas about life and getting through the holidays during maybe tougher than most times for you. And tonight doesn't change that anymore. He was on last year. He's on this year because the weather's getting cold up there. He's from the Northeast. Baltimore's own pastorraypoellot is going to be on this show in a few minutes coming up. He's the homeless whisperer, and he takes care of the lost, the broken. And in my mind, he's a hero because again, he does more than most men can ever think about doing, and really doesn't ask very much in return. And that's just something to be said for. So he's going to be on the show. I want to talk to him because I haven't spoken to him really in depth and detail about what he's doing and how he's doing since last year. And I know a lot can change in a year, and I know a lot did change in a year, and we'll get into that. But if anything, folks, this really helps you put your life into perspective because it really can be a lot worse. And this is why we talk about these things. So he's going to be on in a couple of minutes here. But I did want to get to something because, as always, I tell you what's coming up next week so you can prepare for it. And next week, not to disappoint, it's going to be extremely intense next week because I have authors Anne and Doug Bremner coming on this show November 8th, Wednesday, November 8th. They just got, and here's the cool part. Their book is dropping on Wednesday, November 8th. So we're the first show to get them on to as their book drops, Justice in the Age of Judgment. It's deep. It's a good read. For those of you who don't know, you might have heard of Ann Bremner. She's an attorney and she's a TV legal analyst. She's been on all kinds of shows through the years from all the major networks when they want her opinion on things. And Doug Bremner, a physician, professor, writer, and filmmaker. So they got quite the combination going on over here and years of it. And they're not married. They're brother and sister. So, and they're on different sides of the country. And they put this book together. And again, Justice in the Age of Judgment, from Amanda Knox to Kyle Rittenhouse, and the battle for the due process in the digital age. And if for those who kind of don't understand, it's like, let's face it, all these court cases now are televised and everybody's got cameras, George Floyd and all this kind of stuff. And, and the media's got, a twist. They put a twist on everything because they thrive on chaos. If everything is going too well, the news media is down. So they talk about this stuff, and it's hard. How do you get a jury to not be influenced from all these things? Because it used to be you can keep them, pretty isolated, but it's hard nowadays. So they got a great book that's going to drop next Wednesday, November 8th. Ann and Doug Bremner, authors of Justice in the Age of Judgment. I think you're going to be really intrigued on this. I promise you that it'll be something worth the watch. So right here next week, all right? Just so you know. Meanwhile, there's a couple of things, just three more things before I bring on Pastor Ray. From tonight to next Wednesday when I see you, there's going to be a couple of things that are going to happen in your life, and it will affect you. Both good and bad. Both good and bad. The elections are going to be next week. And for the love of God, please go and vote. I don't care which way you vote, but go and vote, and let's get this election over with so that way we can we can move past all this crap that's going on in our lives, from the media to the dirty tricks to we've stooped to lower highs, higher lows. How about that? It's gotten worse. You don't know who to believe. Just do your homework. Try to listen. I bring things to your attention, whether you want to, take the advice or not. Just listen. But next week, it's time to vote. At least make sure you go vote. Because if you don't vote, shame on you. And whatever happens, happens. And you got no say-so because you had a chance to try to make a difference. Or at least, hopefully, try to make a difference. So we got the elections, and we'll be coming on the night after the elections. I will touch on that, but I want to talk about the Ann and Doug Bremner's book because it's going to be super interesting because they've been around the block. But we will touch on the elections because it's kind of hard to ignore. Also, the big one. Next week, they're going to change the clocks. They're going to change the clocks. And it's going to get dark at 4:30 and you're going to have to go home because it's dark out and you think it's midnight and you got to go to bed by 8 o'clock. So, and then I get to hear everybody bitching for about a week or two until everything levels out. So I love it. Every year it's the same shit, different year, but time change. By 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's dark out. So you got to get everything that you want to do in the daylight. You got to get it done earlier, including me. I'm the worst. I don't get all my energy going until about 2, 3 in the afternoon. And then I'm burning the midnight oil from 4 p.m. to 3 in the morning. That's the way I like to work. But I got a bunch of stuff I need to be doing in the mornings too. So now I'm going to have to because I won't have as much daylight. And I suggest you prepare mentally. Anyway, all right, listen. Pastor Ray's coming up in just about a minute. But right now, we got to pay the bills. So I'll be back in a minute after a word from our sponsor.
Let us help you with the high price of fuel. Hello, I'm Ty Thompson at CleanStarProducts.com. We can optimize your engine, saving you money in gas. Here's how. Our program works the same with gasoline and diesel engines. Whether you're using a car pack or SUV pack, the instructions are the same. Add 1 bottle to your engine oil, and each time you change your oil, add 1 bottle to the fuel tank each and every fuel fill-up. It's that easy. You get 10% fuel economy on average, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. DX1 sells for $2 an ounce, so for just a few dollars a fuel tank, you can optimize your engine, saving you money and gas. Come on, give it a try. It's the finest green grade oil in the world from a California environmental company. You're gonna feel it when you drive. Order online today, we'll get it out right away. CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
That's right, CleanStarProducts.com. Let's face it, folks. Cars are expensive, really expensive, especially now. Used cars, they're like gold. You might as well buy a new car, which doesn't make a damn bit of sense to me, but they are. Gasoline's expensive. Need I say more? All right? People are keeping the cars longer. If you keep your car, you need to take care of your car. It's not that hard to do because going to a mechanic is expensive too. There's no such thing as getting out for $100. Now it's all $800 and thousands of dollars, just the way it is. So take care of your car. All you got to do is put this little bottle for a regular sized car, put it in the crankcase after a clean oil change. It keeps your engine clean. It gives you more lubricity, smooth, less friction, scientifically proven. Put a bottle in your fuel system to clean out your fuel system, and between the combination, get up to 10% more fuel economy. It's a real cheap thing. It's almost like taking care of your body, which I know a lot of people don't. But your car, you can't do without a car unless you want to be on footmobile. Take care of your car. Anyway, for more info, go to CleanStarProducts.com. Tell them the Peter G Show sent you. That's right, that'll do it. And talk to them. They'll talk to you back. All right. Scouts honor. Love these guys. They have passion in what they've provenly produced. So go check them out. All right. Let me take a sip here because we're getting ready to get down to the nitty gritty. I'm looking forward to it. Smooth. All right. The moment you've been waiting for, or I've been waiting for, we've all been waiting for, because he has not been on this show in just about a year, and he's been a great guest, and it's going to be a great show. But I want you to put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for the one, the only, the as I said before, the homeless whisperer, pastorraypoellot.
The homeless whisperer.
Come on.
That's good. That's rich.
I woke up this morning with a thought in my head and I wrote it down. And because as I put these things together, I mean, for those of you who've not met Pastor Ray, you're out of Baltimore, and your main focus since I've met you and been fortunate enough through Bob Paff and everything to have been introduced to you, and you really go above and beyond the call of duty, taking care of and overseeing a lot of these really lost people. And it's like, in a lot of people, I don't think most people just drive by and notice it and go on by, but you actually care for them. And that's amazing. And now it's getting to be winter time and it's going to be cold. And that was what we had last year because, you provide blankets and propane heaters. A lot of these people live in the woods with snow in tents. I can't even imagine. I live in a house and it's like, it's cold, my heater, we're spoiled, but we have no idea what it's like. And then there's you, and you're out there doing your thing. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself again, so that way we can get everybody reacquainted, okay? Oops.
I have an incredible team. Several people that go out with me. We don't actually have to hit the tents too much anymore because a lot of the people that were in the woods were given apartments by a local charity group. But there's still plenty of homeless out there. And so first thing we want to do is just love on them. That when a person is lost, broken, or addicted, and that's typically what's going on, a couple mental people too, they want to be loved. And so obviously we do it in the name of Jesus, but I would encourage anybody to go out there and to try to get involved in their communities there are programs and like a drug addict knows where they need to go to get help, but they don't want to go. They have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then they have to have a made up mind. Well, if different people, and this isn't just for Baltimore, this is for people that are listening tonight that may want to get involved in their communities. If they will take the initiative to go and talk to these people, love on them a little bit, and then encourage them. What the easy way for a lot of people is, you see a panhandler and you may or may not like them, but you slip them $1 and then you feel like, okay, I'm absolved. I'm a good guy. I gave them a buck. Oftentimes that just enables a habit. Find out if they're hungry, grab them something, and then make it a habit to try to find that person again and become their friend. Obviously, it takes a little bit of discernment. You can't just go out and befriend a bunch of strangers. But for my team, everybody on our team has a calling. It's like a burden to do this. Just like in sports, sometimes people root for the underdog. In the Bible, it says, whatsoever you've done for the least of these, you've done unto me. It's talking about visiting them in prison, in the hospitals, giving them clothes, giving them water, doing whatever it takes. Sorry, my little earbuds are cheapos. Anyway, do whatever it takes to be a blessing to them. And sometimes that's a hot meal. I mean, we do on Saturday, we have an outreach where it was a couple ladies that approached us and they said, hey, we get this food donated from the Amish. Will you help us serve it? And it's a lady that I served in the city 25 years ago. We worked together serving the homeless there. And so we were already acquainted. They got the food. We picked a big park in this community called Dundalk. And like last Saturday, I think we fed 88 people. And then, we talk to them, and the ones that have extra needs, like we carry hundreds of pairs of socks, and now it's coat season or jacket season. Well, today it was 74, but next week it'll be freezing. So you just never know what's going on with them. But it's just being consistent. If there's anything that I try to convey to people that are serving in their communities, is to be consistent. If you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. And, let your yes be yes and your no be no. That would fix our political system too, by the way.
Yeah.
If people did what they said.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this, because, or comment on this, because you say, you see these people panhandling on the sides of the exits and this and that. A lot of people are weary of this kind of stuff because there might be a good person under there, but you through conditioning and things like that, you don't know if you're giving them money and they're going to go spend it on drugs and alcohol and this and that. And money's hard, and they're on every corner. The homeless situation is explosive. They're everywhere in this country. It's so sad.
Well, and it's a lot worse in California because you got Skid Row, and then you've got everything going on in San Francisco. It's a sanctuary state for homeless, basically, because it's just a good place for them to go. But I'm talking about in the every major city has a homeless problem, but a lot of small towns do too. If people are trepidatious about getting involved like that, find one of the organizations that serves them and try to help that way. There's tons of programs out there, drug rehab centers. One of the things that's happened since the last time we talked is that we were getting people to go into drug rehabs, and we talked to the owner of one of them and said, would it be okay if we came in and did a Bible study? And they said, well, yeah, that'd be great. It took a couple months for it to get going, but then there was a really big response, and we're finding out when they're in rehab that there's a deeper need, something besides just drug counseling. Obviously, we talked to them about Jesus, but we also talk to them about they go beyond just talking about their addiction, and we actually find out the source of the addiction. Like, I'll give you an example. One guy was molested when he was a young man, and he's had hatred in his heart for years. I mean, he's 57 years old, and this happened when he was 10 or 12, and the man was in tears. by talking to him, we realized that that was the root of his addiction. That's where it really came from. And then we talked more and more about forgiveness. And when the guy finally came to it, he kind of graduated through the rehab program. He's out now, and the last I heard, he's doing really good. So sometimes we get I've kind of like hidden gems. We find out things that maybe the program itself wouldn't. So I'm just saying, for people in other communities, yeah, it takes a special kind of someone to go out there and to talk to the homeless and stuff. I mean, I've been doing it for 23 years now, and if they're afraid to do it on their own, connect with some organization in their town. You can go online, just put drug addiction, talk to a rehab house. You'll get a connection eventually, and find out ways, or like soup kitchens. Unfortunately, so many people say, "Well, I don't want to get my hands dirty," and society looks down on the homeless. They're no good, lazy bums, drug addicts. They're psych and alcoholics. And okay, so what are you, a truth teller there? Okay, they are. But I got news for you: those people sitting in their palatial houses all got stories too.
Oh no, it could be the same. They just have more funding. But do me a favor, since you're having trouble with your earbuds, are you sure you have the left and the left and the right and the right? Try swapping them. Maybe it'll sit in your ear better. Only because I'm just trying it, because there's usually, if it's not in the right ear, it will feel awkward. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
I have no idea. I only wear them on your show.
I know. Just this, maybe they'll stay in a little better. But here's the thing. I just lost my train. See what I mean? I gotta stop my medication. But with all this going on, and people and money, and you don't know what's going on in this homeless person's head. You don't know what his past is. Because I just had a talk. I got somebody I'm very close to, and he's having a problem with alcoholism, and he's been having a problem for many, many years. And I'm just kind of stepping in because family has had enough of him, and I'm afraid for him. And he's like, why doesn't my family tell me what you're telling me? I said they probably have, but it's just a lot harder and tougher with family. A third party sometimes is a whole different thing. But I ended up finding out a lot more about this person's past that I never knew, and they hold it. And I go, but look at you. You're telling me this, but you're still here, and you're doing, and you still hold the job down. I don't even know how, because it's getting that out of control. I'm going, you got to start looking at the stuff that, the positive stuff, that stuff. They make it bigger than what the situation actually is, but that's what happens inside your own head. And then we have these people, and you know nothing about them, but you're afraid to go talk to them.
And that's the thing, is that so many people are afraid to talk to them that they just feel rejected. I mean, people talk down at them, they treat them bad. And, panhandlers are in a good location. They can make good money, but it's gone because they're trying to fill that void inside of their heart. I mean, obviously we try to give them Jesus, but the thing that I found is that if you become their friend, like, I don't approach somebody and beat them over the head with the Bible and get hyper religious on them. I just go out and say, hey, how you doing? I'll give you an example. 3 weeks ago, after our little church service, we have a hot meal, and we take over a Checkers. It's a fast food restaurant. And they got tables outside. So we just take over the tables and we serve a hot meal. And there's a guy sitting over on the corner, and I walk over, hey man, you want some food? He says, yeah. And as we're walking over to the tables, I asked, what's your story? Oh, I'm just passing through. I'm from Ohio. And he sat and ate with us, and I talked to him. And then I went and talked to him the next day. I tracked him down. I knew the area he'd be in, and, gave him a backpack and some supplies and stuff. And he's just so blessed. I may never see him again, but it's interesting. He said, the only person I know here is you. Well, he doesn't really know me, but I showed him some love and some respect. So he feels like he has someone. And if he were in the area, he has my card. He could call me, and I'll be there.
I get it, but I still, and I also think, and one of the biggest problems is that people feel like there's a bunch of people that just don't want to be in social contact, like being a bum, so to speak, or homeless is a choice that they want to make because they don't want to do anything or be, active in society. And you do have that. You got a little bit of everything going on. You got the drug addictions, the alcohol addictions. There's some tough stuff going on. I don't know if everybody chooses it, but some people do choose it and want that. So they're skeptical about giving and opening up to somebody, like in fear. Again, that fear thing.
So you got that 18 inches of real estate between your brain and your heart. And the only thing that goes on there is it's the devil's playground. It's where we make choices, and we make stupid choices, really stupid choices. So all them no good bums and homeless drug addicts and alcoholics that society sees, they made a choice. Okay, are we going to condemn them for that? Or are we going to try to encourage them and lift them up? What does a person that falls into financial distress, they stop paying the bills, they're like an ostrich, they stick their head in the sand because they think it'll go away? Well, addicts, they just got a hole in their heart and they're trying to fill it. And oh, by the way, not just addicts, anybody that's kind of like living in the world. And you come from the entertainment industry. How many people were out on the road in a musician's life and there's an emptiness inside? Yeah, you doing your thing and you're enjoying your music, but how many people are there's an insatiable appetite for something more. And that's all that happened with the homeless people, is they're trying to fill it with something that was like far crazier than what other people do. I could try to fill mine with pornography or gambling or eating. There's just all kinds of ways that we try to fill that void. Obviously, for me, because I come from a spiritual background, I want to encourage people to put Jesus in their heart. And, I see you smiling, but let me tell you something. 20 people a year will get out of the woods because they've allowed their maker to start giving them some guidance.
I'm not laughing at you. I totally understand you. For a minute though, when you were explaining some of the things that do happen and for the people, I thought you were talking about me.
Well, I was. When you were on the road doing music and stuff, and those around you, how many people are trying to fill that void?
Again, I thank God every day, multiple times, for so many things. And I'm not super religious, but I do realize that, I just feel like this is something I do because I want to do it, not because I think a lot of people grab religion. I've said it a million times. When something's going wrong, the plane has got really bad turbulence. They're like, oh God, they've never had religion before, but that's okay. But I'm pretty consistent. I just believe in what I believe, and I don't go out throwing it in people's faces, but I just do because I'm thinking in my head, it can't hurt, And
but you hit such an important point there. It's like, when do you turn to God when you're in an emergency? When do you pray? I have a little plaque that says God answers all in email. Yeah. Like we call it emergency prayer. Well, we can't treat prayer like a spare tire. What you hope you never have to use it, but when you do, you got it, so you whip it out. It doesn't work like that. Our prayer needs to be like a fellowship prayer, which means that we have some sort of a relationship. So if you're going into a tent, and it doesn't matter if it's 98 degrees outside or 10 below, it's nice to know that there's something going on inside of you where you're not alone. And that's where we bring Christ into it. Yes, does Christ alone like grab people out of the woods and miraculously put them in to apartments and stuff? No, we had a program locally that 8 of our guys that were in tents were given apartments. Well, the ones that weren't using drugs are using now. They're all using, and they're not coming to church because God for them was okay, we'll go to church because we're going to get some food. But the people that authentically get it, let me give you an example. And I'm making an assumption here about you, but your daughter is like your foundation. And the foundation of that relationship is love. And because of that love, that's your happy place. And that's probably her happy place too. And it's mutual respect, and it's like adoration for each other. when you can look at somebody that's broken, whatever their situation, for me, it just happens to be homeless, but anybody that's broken, you can be a drummer or a musician, you can be a bartender, whatever, or you can be sitting in church. When you see somebody that's broken and you're able to build some trust by being consistent, by being loving and loving with no strings attached, you're making a difference then. And anybody can do that. I'm not talking about shoveling $1 or $5 bill to a guy that's panhandling. I'm saying, hey, are you hungry? Or go get you something. Make time, go get them a burger or something and bring it back to them. Hey, my name's Peter. What's your name? You gonna be here tomorrow? I'll bring you some cold water. Just something to get it started. Everybody has a capacity to do that. For me, it's not capacity, it's a burden. I mean, it's my calling, and people around me have that same calling, and it's amazing. It's just, you start to love people with no strings attached, and your stuff falls away. Your problems fall away because you learn to put other people ahead of yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I've learning the word love, I think, is the key to so many things, not just the relationship between my daughter and stuff, the relationship with the world, period. And easier. Again, Ringo Starr with the peace and love. He's right. He's right. He's really, really right. And I used to make fun of him. And I said, again, I say these things a lot and I repeat them because there's a bunch of people that don't hear what I say. And for the ones that do hear it and know it, thanks for putting up with me. But love really is a big key. But look, I'm driving down the street, okay? And there's a guy in the corner and he's got the homeless sign and he's waving to everybody and he looks kind of happy. But I'm thinking to myself, why can't that guy get a job? Because there's so many jobs out there. That's my biggest problem. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, he's all scruffy and everything, but there's a lot of jobs available. All we hear about is people not wanting to go to work.
Right.
Right. So it's like, why? We're all struggling in our own ways. There's a lot of people again, I thank God every day for, I don't know, even all my ass aches. I'm better than a lot of people. Could be better, could be a lot worse. And I know people that are struggling to keep their cars running to go to work and this and that. So why would they want to give, their last dollar to somebody that they go and like, I'm trying to feed my child.
Well, you could call it a sacrifice. It's really not a sacrifice. I'm not talking about giving the last thing that you got. I'm talking about giving them a piece of your heart. If you give them a piece of their heart, Peter, they will reveal their soul. Just like the fellow that you were talking to, and you found out so much more about him than you could have dreamed about. It's like people want to be heard. And like those people that we as a society do tend to be judgmental and we stereotype everybody. Well, as long as I've been doing it, I can tell you, you're like 100% correct. They're lazy. They are addicted. They're alcoholics, and they're going to take the money and go get drunk. Okay, whoop-de-doo. So we know that. What's it? We hold these truths to be self-evident. We know that. So, but what are we going to do about it? In this one little community, Rosedale, where our core group is, there's a shopping center across the street from where they hang out, and every restaurant, and there's a Walmart and Sam's. They're all hiring all the time. Nobody can find workers. I could talk to these guys about work. It's the same thing with going into recovery. They're not ready. They have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they have to have a made up mind. How did they get a made up mind? I have seen people get hit by a car and have 2 broken legs, broken pelvis, and a broken neck. And as soon as they got out of the hospital, OD'd. And I was called from 8 miles away to go and give them some Narcan. We Narcaned them, and then they got mad at me. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And then they get an apartment, and now they don't talk to me. That's okay. It's not about me. I'm just consistently doing that. And you know what? When they lose the apartment because of drug addiction, they'll come calling on me. And I'll bring them back to Jesus again, talk to them about Jesus. And if they need a tent, I'll get them a tent. It's like, that's the hardest thing for me, is to let the garbage roll off. Because, you get lied on and one of the biggest things in the homeless community is gossip. I mean, they will talk about anybody because they got nothing else to do, you know. But that person that, I mean, first off, if you see a homeless person and you don't feel an urge any way at all in your heart to do anything, then don't. You're not called to do it. But I think that if people start looking at other people with love, and with love with no strings attached, meaning, Peter, I don't care what your background is. I don't care what your religion or your lack of religion is. I don't care what your family situation are. In my mind, you are an awesome human being. I happen to know that your DNA stretches 60 billion miles anatomically. God made you that way, and he made you unique and individual, the only person in the universe like that. I want to get to know that person. And I don't care if you got problems. I don't care if you're rich. I don't care if you're poor. I want to get to know you. Why? Because I love you. That's it.
I don't think anybody grew up saying, I can't wait to grow up and be a crack addict.
Exactly. What do you think they grow up to do?
But you are a trooper. I mean, you have continually, selflessly put yourself out there. I mean, you really have an understanding for this, which a lot of people, like I said, it just takes maybe an understanding to do it. And it's one thing to volunteer for a day and then you hit, wow, you know, that's really, you know, wow, it hit home. And then you get back into your own world again. But you are out there in the trenches day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, doing this. And since last year, I dare say, how many people have died that have been in your group? Because I've watched this kind of, you know, because we're, you know, I follow you. And how many people have died since we talked last year from either they just didn't take care of themselves or ODing and all that kind of stuff in your flock, so to speak?
Probably about 25 in the last year. I mean, they were a little higher there for a period of time. But, you know, like we just did a funeral for the director of this organization called One Voice. And it's like a daycare for addicts that they go and they do harm reduction. They provide needles, which I'm not in favor of that, but they provide Narcan. They get them some snacks and clothes, and then they direct them to drug rehab programs when they can. Well, the director passed, and she was like 61 years old. And I did her funeral, and afterwards I told a friend of mine, I said, man, I love funerals. And he said, what? I said, 10 people accepted Christ there. You know, it was a celebration of life. This lady spent, she was an addict in her youth, and she recovered and she started working in this center, and for years has been doing it. And she's a pillar of the community. And, you know, other people now are affected by that. This is the thing. Like, if we have that, if we can learn, and for me, it's because of Christ in me, but anybody can do it if they pursue it. And that is to have a loving nature that just says other people matter more than me. Because, you know, I heard a preacher one time said the problem with self-esteem is we esteem ourselves too highly. And I'm not, you know, there's a group called Casting Crowns, and one of the lyrics in their song is, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody that saved my soul. The one thing I understand about the homeless, lost, and broken is, and everybody, is that unless people have the right thing in that hole in their heart, they're gonna be miserable. And I'm sure that you've seen people with all the trappings in Hollywood or in the posh neighborhoods in California. I've worked at very ritzy neighborhoods in Baltimore. Like, these are like, well, compared to California, it's probably nothing, but they're mansions, you know. And people got money and all the trappings in their house, and they're so phony and fake, and you can just tell that they're empty inside. It's like people really believe that the trappings around us are what makes us. No, it's that peace that we get inside. And for me, we call it fruit of the Spirit. It's love, joy, peace. There's other things too, but that's fruit of the Holy Spirit. That's from consistently learning to put other people ahead of yourself. Actually, you do it, Peter. You do it on your show. You bring people in, you give them a platform, and you engage them, and it's every kind of person you can imagine. You know, you have a spiritualist, authors, people in business. I mean, you cover the entire gamut. Every person you've had on your show has a story, and I'm just saying that in the homeless communities, and this is across America, or broken community, people are just lost. They maybe made a bad choice somewhere along the line. Nobody forced them into it. Well, I shouldn't say that, because in sex trafficking, oftentimes they are forced into it. But when somebody chooses to start a drug, that's, you know, if you could think, like we just had Halloween, think of the devil as the little red guy with the red tail and a pitchfork. That looks cute and everything, but what the devil really comes across as is this drug that is going to make you feel good, and you're going to be popular, and you're going to be enlightened and everything. And so you look, okay, I'll try it, and you have no idea the flip side of that. It's like this Sunday, I'm doing a message called Postcard from Hell. And it's like, when you get a postcard, I'll give you a preview. Do you remember the Swedish bikini team on the Budweiser commercials?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So when you watch that commercial, it kind of implies that, hey, you're going to really enjoy this beer, and you may get an attractive lady too. And that sounds good, right? Do you know that there's people that watch a commercial like that, and they buy into that subliminal stuff, and so they go out and they have a beer, and then a couple years later, they're an alcoholic. See, this was the devil's work. He's like, okay, I'm going to pull you right in. Or how about this one? Women like to go shopping at for their makeup at Ulta, and they get their lingerie from Victoria's Secret, and with the premise that they're going to become beautiful, and men are going to love them. They're going to be attractive, and like rainbows and unicorns everywhere. It's going to be lovely, and so they start spending all this stuff. And that magic of the front of the postcard that makes them think that they're going to be all this in a bag of potato chips doesn't happen. So they get depressed, and they get into eating disorders. They become bulimic or anorexic, and they die. You see what I'm saying? So this is like, our whole world is trying to influence us with this giant postcard about how good everything's gonna be. And I just think I offer the final solution. Jesus.
Look, I'll be getting into this more as I get into the holidays. I just got off the phone today with somebody who I watch is going through issues, and he's very drawn, and he's wanting to start his own recovery, a younger guy. And we're going to talk to him the night before Thanksgiving. But I know lots of people that are not homeless, that for some reason I feel like they're filling a hole with stuff. And I don't understand it. I really don't. That's why, like I said, I'm very fortunate. I don't have an addictive personality, but a lot of people do. And they like something, and they like it. And it's beyond my comprehension at this point in time in my life, because it's different when you're younger and you're partying. But when you're older, and it's like, there's more stuff to do than to be, you know, and they're just burying themselves in it. I just really wonder what the hell's going on. And some people don't want to divulge what's really going on. They just say it's all good. As for this show and what I do, I love doing what I do on this show. I keep striving to go bigger and bigger, because this is my way of being able. I mean, yes, I could put more effort in soup kitchens and things like that, but I feel I'm on a higher platform, that I have more to give in a different way, and this is my way of doing it. And at the end of the day, because I'm satisfying my own personal need, because I love entertainment, this is what I'm better at. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, neurosurgeon, I'm probably not going to start that right now. You know what I mean? But so I know I have enough common sense to utilize what has been given to me, because I can talk. Ask anybody.
Ask Pepsi.
Tell me to shut up. But I have a platform, and this is what I do. And that's the whole deal, is that everybody's got different ways to give, and I chose this way to give. And it's just a matter of getting out there more and more. But a lot of people just, it's just so sad. It's beyond my comprehension. That's why I learn something every day. I'm learning something tonight again. Every single show, I walk away with something, even for me. But I'm hoping that it goes out to everybody, because that common factor, it's like, you're not alone. There's so much relatable information coming from you, coming from my other guests, some way, shape, or form. We're trying to reach people, and this is the way I do it. And
Right. Well, again, it goes that everybody does have that hole in their heart. It's like when you try to fill it, and like when you're a kid, you don't really care much about it. You just, okay, give me some milk, and then when you graduate from milk, you start eating your baby food, and then into a little meat. But once you go beyond that age of innocence and you start really thinking about the things that are going on in your life, you have a tendency to want to fill it with something that is not it's not important. It's like, for me, when I was a kid, I was in the hippie era, like around Woodstock. I would have been a young guy at Woodstock, but sex and drugs and rock and roll, that was the thing, man. And they were saying, oh, free love and peace. Well, free love to them was sleeping around. And again, that's just, everybody was trying to find something to satisfy their soul. And a lot of times people, like, I've talked to people that they want nothing to do with religion, because they think that it's a fabrication, that it's a fairy tale or an antiquated tale, and that many cultures have similar things to the Bible. Well, many cultures do have religions. What I've found to know for a fact is that, for me, Christ is real. And when I can convey that to somebody else and say, hey, this hole that you got in your heart, here's your heart and it's beating, but yours right now is kind of like this. It's like barely functioning. Let's put something in it that's good. And they start hearing some really good worship music, instead of all the people that call them out of their name when they're panhandling. They start listening to some good worship music, some music that encourages them and builds them up. And then, like when we do our little church services, it's a church without walls. It literally is outside, as you know. They get there, and other people that aren't homeless come, and they build them up and they encourage them. I'm not talking about beating them over the head with the Bible. I'm talking about just loving them. And when they come out of there, Peter, they're smiling and they're happy, and they've been normalized, even if just for that moment. And like, I know that you work very hard, but you know enough now that when you do see a person, you can at least have a thought process about them. And what's a way that I could be a blessing to that person, or that I could be a hand to them? Like giving somebody $5 to the guy that's the recipient. Oh, great, thanks. And then it's gone. You don't exist anymore. They got the money, and they're on their journey for whatever. But if you could take the time to get them a sandwich, or to just say, hey, you're going to be all right, man. You're going to be all right. Encourage them a little bit. This isn't hyper spirituality. Just encourage people. And, like you've seen the posts on Facebook and placards everywhere, just be kind. Well, there's some truth to that, but do it with authentic love from your heart for other people. And I know everybody doesn't have that capacity. That's called a calling, just like what you do is a calling for you. You have, everybody has different ways. But if more people would make that effort, could you imagine if on the political spectrum, if they like treated each other with love and respect?
Do not get me started. I told myself tonight I'm going to stay off of that, because it's so topsy-turvy. But honestly, love, I can't say it enough. I mean, I don't mean love like loving. It just it's a feeling. It's in your brain to like take a breath before you speak, think a little bit before you say things, and be. I'm learning this daily. I mean, this has been ongoing for probably the past 5 years now or more, but more so that I'm trying to be a better person within myself. It's easier said than done. It's a very fast, hypertensive world out there, and we're all moving at, gotta go here, gotta go there. And then you got some people that are just lackadaisical and just hanging out, and they're in the sun, they're holding their sign up, and you're just like passing them right by, going, another homeless, because you go to the next corner, there's another one. They're all over the place. It's like, well, so are we. So you don't know where to go and how much can you give, and you don't trust, and it's kind of tough. I mean, it really is kind of tough.
Well, trust is an operative word there, because you can't just go willy-nilly out and trust everybody either. There's discernment. That's where you kind of learn and you get a sense of whether this is an approachable person or not. But when you can, and I'm saying, like in California, it's more widespread. Although in Baltimore City, you can find it on just about every corner now. But don't purpose in your heart to go and help everybody, but find one that you can approach and roll your window a little bit down and say, hey, it's going to be all right. And the next time you see him, take a cold water and hand it to him. Hey, here's the water. And what's your name? I'm going to say a prayer for you, or I'm going to send out positive vibes, whatever. Everybody comes from different backgrounds. But if more people would start to connect that way, and not just with the homeless, but with each other, then we truly will make a difference, and it will make this place a better place. There is so much hatred and vitriol going on right now, and it's not just politics; it's everything. I mean, what we were talking about last year, the disease.
Everything is racist. Everything is, if you don't agree, and they're turning everything into hatred. That's what they're doing, and It's never been like this, but it is definitely like this now, and it's horrible. But what do you do? And I mean, I'm only taking it one show at a time. It's just who I can get and the topics I can do to delve into that certain, surgically kind of get in there.
Well,
and
this show answers your question, Peter. What do? Start loving, not familial love. Hey, bro, I love you, man. That's nothing. And then there's erotic love. That's a feeling. I'm talking about love that's an action, agape love, or Christ-like love. Or if you don't want to put Christ in it, you just say love with no strings attached. So what can I do as an individual today or tomorrow to positively impact one person? If we purpose that in our heart, if as many people as we can, we start to get that connection, and we do it authentically, not so that Ray will feel better. I mean, you do feel better. I mean, when you're out and you're able to help people, obviously, I feel like I'm the most blessed man on the planet. I had to put a new engine in my car. It has 258,000 miles on it. And, to repair it was $2,200. So I said, $1,000 more. I'll put another engine in it. And I didn't like it, but I'm the most blessed man on the planet. I got a car and I can go out and talk to people.
Right.
Well, or if I didn't have a car and I was riding a bus, I can talk to somebody on a bus and give a little encouragement. Not, obviously you can get weird with it too. You go up to a stranger and you become too overbearing. But the first time you see them, hey, how you doing, man? It's like for me, when I go into a grocery store, hey, how you doing today? I know what they're going to say. Good. And you? Too blessed to be depressed. And I got a smile on my face, and they go, I know that's right. Now we got a conversation going, It's just whatever that's my shtick, but everybody has their own thing that we find a way to touch somebody in a positive way. If we do that, purpose in our heart to do it today or tomorrow. Once you do it one time, it gets easier and easier. For me, I'm going to say it's Christ.
You got to plant that seed, and you have to make awareness. A lot of people just aren't aware, and they don't mean to not be aware. But again, blinders, focused on their own, we're all running. And speaking of running, we are running out of time.
That was fast.
Yeah, it's always fast because it's good stuff. We're talking about important stuff. The thing is, I want to know, so in your community right now, what are you doing right now? What's going on as the winter approaches? Because I just that was my biggest focus, because last year, you needed things. Because I can't even imagine being out in the cold in the wintertime. But you're telling me a lot of people get in these apartments and this and that, but there's got to be still people that are going.
Yeah, there's still a lot of them that are out in the woods, and we've been very fortunate because we post on Facebook. Our whole platform is on Facebook, and the Bible says, don't let your right hand see what the left hand is doing, or vice versa. I forget, but we posted on Facebook for awareness. And like, I had a lady today say she used to be connected with a different ministry. How can she help? She's going to be out of town for 2 weeks. When she comes back, she'll go out and serve food with us on Saturday. So we get food that's donated to these two ladies, and our Church Without Walls just goes to support them and to help serve. Coats, blankets, and things like that. The local churches do their little coat drives. We know as people are, and we say follow us and go out and distribute them, so that we actually don't even have to take anything. Now, I do keep in my car blankets and clothing and socks, and all summer long I've been buying 1 or 2 tanks of propane, so I'm prepared. I have a couple of heaters, and I'll buy a couple more. But I found that God always provides. We don't have to solicit anything. I mean, we're very, very blessed that it's like one of the ladies at this One Voice said yesterday, man, the guys there are starved. I went out to a Bible study last night, and a guy gave me a case of sandwiches, probably 45 sandwiches. I took them there today. The guys aren't hungry today, So God provides.
That's what I'm saying. But and food is expensive,
Yes,
and
it is.
people are sacrificing and doing this. That's amazing, because it's hard. A lot of these restaurants and all that are doing all they can to keep in business, because expenses, life has gotten, they're having to raise their prices, and people aren't eating out as much, because you go to Walmart to go buy a few things and it's $70 for, 2 little bags of something. So the fact that they're donating and doing this, I don't know how they do it, but God bless them, because it's getting tough, and so, and to be able to give is even tougher, but they're doing it.
Yeah. And, if your listeners can do that, if they can get involved in their communities, because it's not just Baltimore, it's all across the country. And actually, when you do that, if you purpose to put somebody ahead of yourself tomorrow, you're going to feel so blessed, and you're going to want to do it more often. It's like, it's a behavior. And this love that we're talking about with no strings attached is an action word. It's not the feeling, it's not erotic love, it's not familial, hey bro. It's an action word. It means that you do something to back it up.
Well, let me get this up here, because for those, a lot of people, they're listening to a lot of things, but they got, their attention. And if anybody wants to get a hold of Pastor Ray, you can find him on Facebook a lot. You're very, very vocal on Facebook at pastorraypoellot. If you need to email Pastor Ray, you want to know how to give more in your own community, or his Baltimore community, anywhere in the United States or anywhere, period, and you need some pointing in the right direction, you can email Pastor Ray at raypoellot@comcast.net, correct, Pastor Ray?
Yes, and we'll be happy to. If they email me, I'll send them the links for their community. I'm pretty connected all across the country now, so I can get the links for where they need to go to be able to participate and help.
Yeah, I'd like to think that you're getting famous in your own way.
Not really. I'm a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody that saved my soul.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You're my go-to guy when it comes to this, and you've been to Vegas. We talked about that, and and people recognized you, and it's not like you're looking for the recognition, but you're doing what you do. And to me, if you do it long enough, somebody's going to pay attention, and you're getting more communities in these associations to, coerce with you to help the situation, because you were out there, one-man band or 2 people, and doing it all on your own. So now it seems like this year you're getting a lot more attention or help. Am I right?
Yeah, well, before the pandemic, I was with a big church, and I had like 35 people on my team. I have one person on my daily routine, and then on Saturday, 4, 5, and 6 people. So yeah, it grows. It has less to do with manpower and more to do with the people that are involved have the same heart, and that's to serve others. If you develop a servant's heart, you tend not to have problems.
Still got to get up every day and go for it, though. I mean, it takes, if you didn't get up, even though you have a servant's heart, if you didn't get out and make that effort, your thoughts could be there, but it's all
right.
Okay. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Ray Poellot right here live. If you want to get a hold of him one more time, you can contact him. Send him an email if you're interested in finding out, even in your part of the country. He knows people. He's been there, done that. Guys talk, word gets around, you hear things. But you can email him at raypoellot@comcast.net, or friend him on Facebook, Pastor Ray Poellot. He's very active on that, and that's how I follow him. And let's do some good stuff together, because not only because it's winter, but it's year round. You know, you need all that stuff year round. Nobody knows what's going on in the mind of people. That's why a lot of people are afraid that somebody's kind of like mentally not there, you know, and you don't know who you're dealing with, but there's only one way to find out.
That's very true. And if everybody could keep us in prayer, that'd be the biggest thing they could do.
Speaking of prayer, this is how I wanted to end the show tonight. Now, you just had me reminded me of this. I'd like you to take us out, or take this, you and I and everybody. Do you have a short prayer that you ever end with before everybody parts or leaves? I think that would be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. It's like to the core. Lord, in the name of Jesus, manifest your perfect will upon everybody listening and teach us your ways. In Jesus' name, amen. His perfect will. It's bigger than ours.
I just thought about that. I go, you know what? I think we all can use a prayer. You know, more than one probably, and many times a day. But I figure who better than our own Pastor Ray. So
thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be on your show.
Again, just about any time. I mean, you haven't, kind of rang the bell, but I just thought about you because it is the holidays, and I think about that stuff more than usual. I think about it all through the year, but if any better of a time as we're thinking about family and friends, and there's a lot of people who just are helpless, and they just need to know that they're worthy of existing and things like that. And
exactly.
I'm very saddened to hear that like 25 people from last year in your crew of people that that's way more than I thought. I thought, maybe 10 or 12, but that's double. And that's, the door keeps.
That's from fentanyl coming across the borders, open borders. Yeah.
I know. Again, if you want to have a rant on that, just ring my bell. I do enough of that during the course of every last month, show of the month. But anyway, thank you for coming on to my little old show and bringing awareness to this. I know it's going to help a lot of people down the road, and I love you for it. So thank you.
Love you too, brother. God bless.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, right there, Pastor Ray Poellot, Baltimore's Pastor Ray Poellot. If you want to get a hold of Pastor Ray, you can email him at pastorraypoellot@comcast.net, or find him on Facebook and friend him. Tell him you saw the show, and just be around so you can check in and see what's going on. It keeps you in touch. It keeps you in tune, so you don't get involved now, and then as tomorrow and the next day you start fading because we get lost again. So do it. All right.
All right.
Thank you. I love you. I'll see you
God bless.
later.
Love you.
All right, bye-bye. Wow. Everybody take a sip. The man does good work. The man does great work. Selfless beyond what most men will do. I mean, honestly, think about it. Would you do what he does? We're all busy trying to keep up. And he goes out there and doesn't worry about it. God bless him. I thank him for that last little prayer there too. And again, we're not any religious show. I just, it doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt. What do you got to lose? You have all to gain. Thank you, Pastor Ray. I don't want you to forget, because we're running out of time. Next week, November 8th, day after the elections, folks. November 8th. Right here on this show, I'm going to have Ann Bremner and Doug Bremner, authors. They got a new book that's dropping the day of the show, November 8th. They got a book, Justice in the Age of Judgment. Ann Bremner is a TV legal analyst. You probably heard of her. Her brother, Doug Bremner, doctor, filmmaker, professor, writer. They got two great talents. Put it together, and they're discussing all these high-profile cases, from OJ to Michael Jackson, to Amanda Knox and Kyle Rittenhouse. All the things that intervene, that mess up a trial, that the media is this and that. pretty interesting stuff. And they're going to be on this show next Wednesday, November 8th. Authors of the new book, Justice in the Age of Judgment, Anne and Doug Bremner, right here. Don't miss it. This is deep stuff. And, you know, again, the world has changed. The media, everything, the way we do things, it's changed tremendously. And I think that you're going to learn a whole lot of stuff. Every show has a different meaning for somebody's avenue. If this show didn't, you know, quite do it for you, you know, you got to push people's buttons, and everybody has a different dial to dial in that interests them. But next week, it's all about the way we live and the justice system and the media and how we're fed all this stuff and the influencing exciting stuff. Wednesday, November 8th. Anne Bremner and Doug Bremner, authors of their new book, Justice in the Age of Judgment. It's going to skyrocket real quick, that book. And they're launching it. It's on for sale, and it drops November 8th, the day of this show. They're coming on this show to talk about it, so don't miss it. All right? Also, don't forget the podcast. For those of you who watch the show, God bless you. I love you for it, because, you know, you got to make time in your life. Everybody makes choices. You got to take time in your life to decide what you want to do with yourself. For those who watch this show, I love you more than you know. But if you don't have the time, you could put an earbud in your ear and you can take the Peter G Show on the road with you on our podcast. Google Peter G Show Podcast. It's on 21 different platforms. You can listen to the show at work. Who the hell wants to be at work? Work sucks, okay? But do the best you can at work. We need you. Put an earbud in your ear. Listen to the Peter G Show. It's the next best thing to being there, okay? Just Google it. And if you do get to watch on one of the 12 different live platforms on demand, even when the show's over, you can pull it up and watch it anytime. Your YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook pages. It's even on Twitter now live. Twitter's, let's see what happens. Just do it. Just do it. And subscribe, folks. Hit the subscribe buttons. I need to, because they're throttling me down, because I get a little ornery and I start talking my mind, and these platforms don't like it, and they're crunching me. We're not going to take it anymore. Keep subscribing, YouTube especially, because they're messing with me big time. Subscribe. It's worth it, because the more I get to do this, the better it's going to get. I promise you that. All right. I love you for being here. My name is Peter G. I want to thank you for watching the Peter G Show live every Wednesday, like clockwork, God willing, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Every week, right here, Life of Peter G. It doesn't get any better than this, I promise. Well, it could get better than this, but I'm trying. And we do things, and I love you for hanging with me, all right? I want to leave you with just this one thought, as I always do. Be kind. A lot easier said than done. You don't have to be an ass, but you don't have to take a bunch of crap from people either. You don't. Just try to take a deep breath before you speak when you're ready to snap. Take it from me, folks. Breathe. Make sure you breathe and then speak. Makes a big difference. Easier said than done, but it's doable. I promise you. I'm learning it. Life is short. We're all here. I'm thankful for those who are here. I hate losing people. I really do. Every week I'm getting something, because, you know, my fan base is large enough to where you just see people that just aren't here anymore today, but they were here yesterday, having no idea they weren't going to be here today. All right. So thank your lucky stars. Thank God. Whatever you want to do, be mindful and live life. Life is worth living. So again, I'm Peter G. Thank you for watching. And as always, I love you guys. I do. So peace out.
Peter G Show. Peter G Show. Divorce Dad.